What is up, you guys? It's Vladi B here. Let's check out my portfolio performance for the last week on Robinhood. I want to show you I am in a positive $193 in the past week. It's pretty amazing in my opinion because it's me not doing anything and getting an extra $193 deposited into my account. Let's see how that works. So you can see it in the beginning of the week, which is January 11th, when I was 54.46. Here in January 12th, I went as high as 55.68, and then here I went as far as 56.61 on January 13th, and then it kind of stayed in that range, and then it jumped as high as 57.38 just yesterday. And that's the highest my account has been, and that's me not investing anything extra. I still have $314 untouched out of that money that I can still buy stocks with, and of course I can add more if I have some. And let's see the best performing stocks that gave me the best return on my investment. What are they? First of all is of course Tesla. Gave me a total return of $354. Let's check out Tesla. Now, is it recommended to buy Tesla right now? I personally don't think it's the best time, just because it went up so far up from where it used to be, that in my opinion it doesn't make sense to buy it right now. However, some people do believe that it will just continue going up, in which case it is definitely a good idea to buy, because you're still going to be in a positive. And that's where it comes down to the gambling part of the stock market. Nobody knows for sure what is going to happen, but people will continue to recommend to buy this and buy that. In the end of the day, you have to make your own decision whether you want to spend that extra money and risk that stock going down and dropping in the near future. Let's not forget that less than a month ago it was $626. About 3 months ago, same time, it was half of that, $388, and then within the last year it was even under $100. So in a period of a year it jumped, it skyrocketed, it pretty much increased by 10 times. It literally increased 10 times from $86, right? March 17th. Let's say January, right? Even January, let's say it was $103, so slightly less than 10 times. But it still increased significantly, and to today's $842. You do need to understand that it's nothing that can be predicted. You cannot predict this. It's as simple as that. What are some other stocks that I do recommend that I think are still a good thing to buy would be the airlines. The airlines are super good stock to invest in. Why? Because they dropped significantly since the pandemic started. Right there is where it dropped significantly to $10. I unfortunately missed that opportunity, but my average cost is $12, so I didn't miss it by too much. I bought it maybe around I think June is when I started buying, or even April maybe. Actually, I think it was around June, because that's when I started investing. I didn't have the Robinhood app in April, so you can see that around here as well it was about $12, and that's when I bought some. And the reason I bought so many shares is because I noticed that just in February it was at 13. So I'm like, wow, it was cut in half almost. So I might as well buy some, and hopefully it's gonna go back up. Now again, my belief, my opinion, personal opinion, and I'm not a financial advisor, so keep that in mind. But I do use logic, and I will tell you this: the pandemic hopefully is not gonna last forever, but that's another one of those things that we don't know what's gonna happen and how it's gonna happen. However, as soon as it's over, as soon as the vaccine actually an actual working vaccine is out there, and we can all get vaccinated and not be scared and afraid of flying anymore, the airlines are gonna go back in business big time. Why? Because people love to travel, and now with all the pandemic, so many people's plans get cancelled. They got ruined because of the pandemic. So their business went down significantly, and that is because people stopped flying. It wasn't allowed to go to many places. Because I do business in the US and I'm originally from Canada, I do have to fly sometimes for work. It's essential. However, even my plane tickets get cancelled a couple of times. So I was in the same position. Now I know for sure that this is gonna go back up, and it's already going up. Let's say in the last month it was already as high as $16. Let's see when was the highest point. I think it was actually $17.99, and that's American Airlines. Now let's look at Dao Delta Airlines, another one of those airlines that are slightly more expensive than the other one. And let's see that around the same period of time it dropped as well to 23. However, before that it was 58, as high as 60, and then it dropped significantly, but it's holding up there. It's still holding around 40, and I bought it at 27. Again, right around June, when it was EC30, somewhere over here it was 27, probably right here around end of June is when I bought it. So you can see my strategy, right? I do try to buy low, and then, well, I'm actually a long-term investor. I'm not a day trader. If I was a day trader, I would probably want to sell at those high points. So I would buy like somewhere around here, 27, just to sell it at a couple dollars more, like 34. And then I'm, as long as I'm buying like 100 shares, then I'm making pretty good profit. And I'm not risking much. In the end of the day, it's a good stock to have. And they even pay dividends. So that's amazing, right? So I definitely don't regret. There is one regret I do have. One of the airlines that I did buy, I ended up selling it. And the reason I sold it is because I wanted to try it. I wanted to try to do the buy low, sell high, because I did buy much lower than they were when I sold it. Now I'm thinking that I should have kept it just like those ones. What is another good one? GM. Let's look at GM. Pretty good return on investment here as well. Double the return. At this point, I only bought 3 shares. Again, I was just experimenting, but it shows you that it works. So I bought a 25 per share and I bought 3 shares. Now that share costs $50. So let's say I spent $75 and now my market value is $150, double. This one actually also pays dividends, so that's great. Not a good stock to have, GM. The car manufacturer's business is not going anywhere. They're actually going up in price. All those pickup trucks cost so much more than they used to now. Ford went up a little bit, but it's not a huge. Didn't bring me much return on investment, but I'm mainly in the green for the most part, except for this Nikola. Most of it is in the green. There are a couple things that I'm in the red, and Nikola is the only significant one that really brings my portfolio down. If it wasn't for this Nikola, those $320 would have been added to this number, so today it would have been $5,950, and yesterday would have been $6,000, so I would have been a whole $1,000 up. One quick note I have to mention here is that at some point this number here, if you're looking at my overall performance, well, you see that I went below. Like I was losing about $300 here, almost $400 here I was losing. So I was in a negative a lot, and a lot of people, what they do when they see themselves in this situation, when they find themselves in this situation, a lot of people start panicking and selling everything, and then they're just losing. Notice the reason I'm keeping this Nikola, although it's ridiculously bringing my portfolio down, is because I have invested so much into it that, okay, what for example, if I freaked out and I sold it last week, well, you can see that last week it was only at $16. I decided to keep it. It went up to $22 at some point. 2 days ago it went up to $22, and that's already much closer to my $34 that I originally spent on it. So this is why I prefer to keep my stocks for the long term, and I'm gonna say it right now. I constantly watch the stock market to make sure that I don't miss the opportunity to sell or buy something good. If I see that on the news Nikola is going bankrupt, I'm gonna go ahead and sell everything. I'm gonna short the stock, as they say, so that I can save at least part of my investment. It cost me $783. If I sell it today, all I'm gonna get back is $462. But last week this number was only $300, and the week before it was like $200, because they were really bad. They were in a bad position, but they're still going up and down. So I am very positive that within the next couple of months there is a pretty good chance that it's gonna go back up to 34. And that's where I might sell just to get that money back, because it's very unstable stock. It's very unstable, and then I will buy more if they go back to the 16 mark or even below that. The $13 is the lowest that stock went, and you can imagine how this number here it was like a 200 something. It was ridiculous. I was panicking a little bit because of course it's a lot of money that I don't want to lose. I almost invested a whole 1,000 into just this one stock. Let's look at Uber, for example, another stock that has some return on investment for me. I bought it just one share at $30. Now it costs $56, so it almost doubled as well. So if I bought more of those, I definitely would have been making more money here. So the idea here is I'm showing you the stocks that perform very well. So if I invested more money into each one of those stocks that you're seeing in the green, I would have been making much more money than I'm making right now. But again, I don't want to throw my whole savings into this thing. I'm just experimenting, and eventually once I feel more comfortable is when I'm gonna start experimenting more, being more aggressive with that, and maybe even trying that day trading. Alright you guys, this was Vladi B with another video. Please make sure to like and subscribe. Check out my other videos on how to run a successful business as well as how to use Robinhood for beginners, and I will see you in the next video.